Redditors who have actually been to your 10-year high school reunion, what is the biggest transformation you've seen someone make in that 10 years? Skinny nerdy guy got busted for selling a couple $100,000 worth of Adobe software in college and spent 15 months in prison. He came out super buff. My boyfriend went to his 10-year over the weekend. Saw this overly made up, rather unattractive woman he didn't know. Turned out to be one of his old football buddies. So, I'd say that was a very big transformation. How did that conversation go? Short and slightly awkward, but not bad. On the flip side, I know someone who hasn't aged since high school. No extra fat, no wobbles, no grey hair, nothing. Even his voice is the same at 30 as it was at 14. I'm pretty sure he's a vampire. The kid who was stealing motorcycles and selling them for parts is now a police officer. He was never accused or convicted, of course, but I knew that for a fact. Let's hope people sometimes do change. One girl who sat next to me in English class in junior and senior year. Thick Coke bottle glasses. A bird's nest of thick curly hair. She was always very nice and very smart, but super quiet and introverted. I was an extroverted, outgoing jackass, so I used to ask her to read parts when we studied Shakespeare. Invited her into my group for group projects and made her take speaking roles. That kind of thing. She was never really comfortable talking about herself and we never hung out outside of class, so I left school not knowing much about her except that she was smart, quick to grin at a joke, and had strong feelings about the Crucible. 10 years later, this gorgeous woman shows up to our reunion. Smoking hot redhead, sparkling blue eyes, built like a brick house. That goofy teenage grin had turned into a confident, knowing smile. She knew how to dress and make herself up to emphasize her assets and minimize her flaws. She was jaw-droppingly stunning. We talked for a good hour. She was just a late bloomer. I apologized for always volunteering her for public speaking, and she said it was one of the things that made her start to confront her shyness. She ended up going to an Ivy League school and became a journalist, of all things. We still chat from time to time. Edit, no, we didn't bang. I was happily engaged by my 10-year reunion and well settled into my career. She lived in Africa on assignment from a wire service. We were in very different places in our lives and I was and am happy to count her as a friend. Edit 2, Bricket House. Slang for a stacked hourglass figure on a woman. Twin sisters. The good one, straight A student and a perfect angel, is now 90 pounds soaking wet and just finished her 4th stint in rehab for drugs. The one who was a troublemaker and constantly in trouble, even arrested a few times for drugs and shoplifting while in high school, is a doctor with a family. Edit, I'm gonna start referring to the angel that went bad as the tall one and wild one that went good as the short one. It will make things less confusing for now on. I don't wanna use their names and I keep almost doing it. One of my neighbors growing up was that super motivated type A do everything types. Co-valedictorian. Captain of the hockey team. Gifted musician. Just always working. 10-year reunion. Went just how we all expected. Full ride to Yale. Harvard MBA. 6-figure Wall Street job. Gorgeous fiance, and he seemed utterly miserable. 10 years later. 20th reunion. He got sick of it all. Quit his job, sold his house, got divorced, and got out of town. He now owns a pig farm in upstate New York, spends his days working the farm, brewing beer, and hiking in the forest, and I've never met a happier, more satisfied person in my life. We didn't have a 10-year, but we did have a 22-year. The year we all turned 40. It was so much fun. We rented the summer camp we all went to growing up for the whole weekend. People brought their kids. We got wasted and told stories all night. We were all older and fatter, but nobody had changed a bit. I was friendly with this guy freshman sophomore year, I think. He was super quiet, shy, incredibly studious, chubby kid. Even some teachers would be like, lighten up. Relax. He came out of his shell senior year and we kind of stopped being friends because he was hanging out with the cool kids and having parties where people could drink. etc. And I was super square and uninterested. So at my reunion, he was this X20. He is now a hotshot kind of guy in DC working for a strategies company. Just googled it. No idea what they do. Anyway, at the reunion he was mostly okay until he chugged a red ton of beers. Some folks had left, but the rest of left at the reunion had gathered around while he picked up a yearbook. He proceeded to hit on every person in our year whether they were there to defend themselves or not. This was a super uncool kid freshman year, who nobody really disliked or made fun of. Actually, just bashing everyone for weight, being weird, being uncool, being too cool, etc. My boyfriend was with me. He did not go to HS with me, and was so uncomfortable the entire time. There was the definite cases of who is that fat person who ate my friend, but the most unreal thing at mine was the girl no one knew or remembered. Holy it. So we were a pretty close graduating class. Everyone at least knew or remembered everyone else. Except this one girl. Absolutely hammered. And no one knew her. She was so outrageous that everyone came up to me asking if I hired an escort to be funny, which I had strongly considered doing but couldn't find one that was cool enough, and would recommend anyone else doing it if they can. Anyways, this chick is all over every single guy there, hanging on them trying to dance, when there was no music and it was the cocktail hour, grinding on them in front of their wives, still no music. That was later. But she also knew everyone's names and stories. Like stories a best friend would know. But not a single person knew who she was. She was average looking, not hot but not ugly. But when she slammed back about 10 tequila shots in her as many minutes and then proceeded to grow manhandle, smoosh every guy, it went to a whole new level of weird. Someone had brought an old yearbook, and sure enough the name she gave was in it, but no club's activities. She looked somewhat similar to the 10-year-old picture where it probably wasn't a party. And still not a single person who knew her. She was amazing to watch. Just the sheer amount of eye-jaff she exuded was hilarious. Then she threw up. On the dance floor. Stood up. Kicked the vomit with her shoes and started dancing some more, then ran to the bar for more beer. Last I saw, the old class priest was trying to get her to drink water as she was passed out in a chair with more puke in her hair while mumbling about how happy she was she voted for the class priest 10 years ago. I can only imagine her thought process leading up to the reunion. She definitely made sure people knew her, except if you asked anyone there I guarantee you they still couldn't tell you her name. I left before she got cattle carted away. But if you're looking for an example of who to be at our reunion, definitely be her. I guarantee you will have a blast and look back on it and giggle with the total amount of WTF you create. Edit for advice. If you see someone you had a crush on, talk to them. Chances are, okay I get it, sorry for trying to pump up potential reunion attendees and give them confidence. Maybe they had one on you too, but teenage fear stymied it. I had a fair share of those encounters after high school was over and people got comfortable with themselves. Edit to know. This isn't an Always Sunny in Philadelphia reference. This actually happened. But judging by the comments it closely resembles something from the show. It's only been 5 years since I graduated and one of the girls in my class is a freaking rocket engineer. Working for NASA. Like what? She used to cry about that douche bag she was dating. We did yoga in pay and talked about stupid high school girl things. And to think if I'd actually seriously applied myself it would have been possible for me too. Good on her. Went to my 10-year this August. I showed up around 7 in the evening and everyone was in decent spirits, having a few beers, except for this one guy. He was already 4 down, stumble drunk, and people were generally aware of him but tolerating him. By 8 he was knocking over tables, and by 9 had completely destroyed the bathroom with vomit. I asked a few friends, hey, what's up with drunk ass duck over there? Had one too many. Turns out this time last year he'd slept with another mutual high school friend's girlfriend at the time. I went to middle school with the guy, and he'd killed himself 2 days later. I didn't make the connection, but our 10-year was the 1-year anniversary of our classmate's suicide, and the guy who may have played a role in that wasn't taking it very well. One kid was fairly small, quiet and goofy. Nice kid, but nothing too special about him. We hung out a few times at speech drama tournaments. I had wondered what happened to him. Turns out he grew quite a lot and became quite popular. His acting career took him far. He's been in several huge films, including X-Men. We knew him as Jimmy. Today he goes by a more mature name of James. James Marston. I hope he's still a cool, goofy guy deep down that I remember from the few times we hung out.